Forget what you think you know about muscle cars. We're diving deep into a legend, a name that echoes through automotive history. The Pontiac GTO. Was it truly the first, the undisputed king? Or just a well-spun myth? Buckle up, because we're about to uncover the truth. In the early 1960s, America was changing. The baby boomers were coming of age, and they craved excitement, speed, and something that wasn't their father's sedate sedan. Car manufacturers, however, were still playing it safe. Corporate policies often dictated limits on engine size for mid-sized cars, effectively stifling any attempts at true performance. It was a world of chrome and comfort, not raw power. But a whisper of rebellion was growing in the halls of Pontiac. John DeLorean, a brilliant engineer with an eye for innovation, Pete Estes, Pontiac's general manager, and Bill Collins, a shrewd marketing genius. These men saw the untapped potential, the hunger for something more than just transportation. They understood that the youth market wasn't just looking for a car, they were looking for an identity, a symbol of freedom and defiance. The initial idea was simple, yet revolutionary. Take a relatively unassuming mid-sized car, the Pontiac Tempest Lemons, and drop in a massive high-performance engine. The engine of choice? Pontiac's robust 389 cubic inch V8, usually reserved for their full-size models. This was a bold move, a direct challenge to corporate dogma. It wasn't about subtle upgrades or minor tweaks. It was about transforming a mild-mannered machine into a beast. The decision to name it GTO was equally audacious. It stood for Gran Turismo Omologato, an Italian term meaning grand touring, homologated, typically associated with high-performance European race cars like Ferraris. This wasn't just a car. It was an aspiration, a statement that an American automaker could produce something just as potent and exciting as its European counterparts, but for a fraction of the price. It was a stroke of marketing genius, instantly imbuing the car with an aura of exotic performance. The first GTO prototype was a clandestine project built on a shoestring budget and often worked on after hours. It was a labor of love, fueled by passion and a shared belief in their vision. When the executives finally saw it, there was initial skepticism. Could a market truly exist for such a car? Would it be too radical? But DeLorean and his team were persistent. They knew they had something special, something that would resonate with a generation yearning for excitement. The official launch in 1964 was met with a mixture of awe and disbelief. Here was a car that broke all the rules. It was fast, incredibly fast for its time. The basic GTO package included the powerful 389 V8 with a 4-barrel carburetor, dual exhausts, a performance-oriented suspension, and distinctive GTO badging. For those who craved even more power, there was the Tri-Power option, featuring 3 2-barrel carburetors, boosting horsepower even further. This wasn't just a souped-up sedan, it was a dedicated performance machine, designed from the ground up to dominate the streets and the drag strips. The initial sales projections were modest, around 5,000 units, but the GTO exploded onto the scene, capturing the imagination of car enthusiasts and young drivers alike. Word spread like wildfire. Car magazines raved about its performance, its aggressive styling, and its sheer presence. It wasn't just a car, it was a cultural phenomenon. It represented a shift in automotive philosophy, a clear signal that performance was back, and it was here to stay. The GTO's success wasn't just about raw speed, it was about the entire package. It looked powerful, with its distinctive hood scoop, initially non-functional but adding to its aggressive aesthetic, bold grille, and muscular lines. It sounded powerful, with a deep, guttural exhaust note that announced its presence long before it arrived. And it felt powerful, with a driving experience that was visceral and engaging. It was a car that connected with its driver on an emotional level, inspiring a sense of exhilaration and freedom. The GTO didn't just sell cars, it created a new segment, a new way of thinking about performance. It proved that there was a massive demand for affordable, high-performance vehicles that could be driven every day but still deliver thrills on the weekend. Its immediate and overwhelming success sent shockwaves through the automotive industry, forcing other manufacturers to rethink their strategies and develop their own high-performance offerings. The muscle car era had officially begun, and the Pontiac GTO was undeniably at its forefront. Its daring inception, rebellious spirit, and undeniable performance cemented its place as a groundbreaking icon. It was more than just a car. It was a statement that power, style, and affordability could coexist, and that sometimes breaking the rules is exactly what's needed to create a legend. The ripple effect of the GTO's success was immediate and profound. Other manufacturers, initially caught off guard, quickly scrambled to develop their own high-performance contenders. Ford responded with the Mustang, a different beast entirely, but one that also catered to the youth market's desire for excitement. Chevrolet unleashed the Chevelle SS, Plymouth introduced the Barracuda, and Dodge brought out the Charger. The American automotive landscape was transformed almost overnight, shifting from an era of practicality to an explosion of horsepower and aggressive styling. This was the dawn of the muscle car wars, and the GTO, the original instigator, found itself at the heart of the battle. The mid to late 1960s were a golden age for performance enthusiasts. Horsepower figures climbed steadily, designs became bolder, and manufacturers vied for supremacy on drag strips and showroom floors alike. The GTO, however, refused to be overshadowed. Pontiac continually refined and improved their flagship muscle car, ensuring it remained competitive and desirable. In 1965, the GTO received its first major restyling, adopting stacked headlights and a more aggressive grille, further enhancing its intimidating presence. The engine options remained robust, with the 389 still leading the charge. Performance was paramount, and Pontiac engineers were constantly looking for ways to extract more power and improve handling. 1966 brought another significant refresh, with a more Coke bottle styling that gave the GTO a sleeker, more streamlined look. This year also saw the introduction of the legendary Ram Air option. Initially an over-the-counter kit, it soon became a factory-installed option, featuring functional hood scoops that fed cool, dense air directly into the carburetor, boosting horsepower and giving the GTO an even more menacing appearance. The Ram Air 4 engine, introduced later, became the pinnacle of GTO performance, a fire-breathing beast capable of incredible acceleration. The GTO wasn't just about straight-line speed, it was also about marketing and image. Pontiac understood the importance of connecting with their target audience. They ran clever and edgy advertisements that portrayed the GTO as a car for the adventurous, the bold, and the free-spirited. They sponsored racing events and worked with legendary drivers to build the GTO's reputation on the track, further cementing its street credibility. The car became synonymous with rebellious youth culture, appearing in movies, songs, and television shows, solidifying its iconic status. One of the GTO's most memorable moments came in 1969, with the introduction of the Judge. This special trim package was designed to recapture some of the youthful exuberance and appeal that the GTO initially had. Named after a popular skit on Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, the Judge featured vibrant colors, most famously carousel red, a bright orange hue, bold graphics, a functional Ram Air 3 or RV engine, and a rear spoiler. It was unapologetically loud, flashy, and fast, perfectly embodying the spirit of the era. The Judge was a pure marketing masterpiece, reigniting interest and proving that the GTO could still set trends and turn heads even amidst fierce competition. Throughout this period, the GTO consistently delivered on its promise of performance. It wasn't always the most powerful car on paper, as other manufacturers pushed bigger and bigger engines. However, the GTO always offered a superb balance of power, handling, for a muscle car of its era, and undeniable style. Its distinctive Pontiac engine sound, often described as a deep rumble, became instantly recognizable and a source of pride for its owners. The competition was fierce, with each year bringing new challengers and escalating horsepower wars. Chevrolet's Chevelle SS 396 and 454, Ford's Torino Cobra, and Plymouth's Hemi Cuda were all formidable opponents. Yet, the GTO maintained its ground thanks to its loyal fanbase, continuous innovation, and powerful brand image. It was seen not just as a fast car, but as the original, the trendsetter that started it all. However, as the 1960s drew to a close and the 1970s began, storm clouds started to gather on the horizon for all muscle cars, including the GTO. Rising insurance costs, stricter emissions regulations, and a shift in consumer preferences would soon threaten the very existence of these powerful machines. But for a glorious decade, the GTO stood tall as a symbol of American automotive prowess, a testament to what could be achieved when a small team dared to defy convention and build a car that truly captured the spirit of a generation. Its dominance during the muscle car wars wasn't just about horsepower, it was about vision, passion, and an unwavering commitment to delivering an exhilarating driving experience. The GTO didn't just participate in the muscle car era, it defined it.